I don't do the most, but I do a lot. I'ma make a toast, cause we still alive. No big, I feel like Pac. I shoot a shot. I'm coming in. Coming in. Shoot that. Hey, why not? Hey. Yeah. I'm coming in.
Wake 'em up. Wake 'em up. Wake 'em up. Wake 'em up. See him still sleeping, so I had to shake 'em up. Shake 'em up. I kept it too real. I wasn't faking up. My real life was a headline. Your real life got a deadline. My timeline was a hashtag. Your timeline just a hate crime. Coming in hot. Feeling like Pac. Back in 94 when he took 5 shots. Too much drive to ride your wave. Ditch my top and I'm off that lot. Black on black on black on black on black on black on black. You don't have to ball a rap to get them racks on racks. Uber poolers trying to catch my vibe and find my way. Yeah, I know I'm ratchet, but I'm really safe. Hot sauce dripping. Everybody wanna start dipping. First nobody wanna listen. Now everybody pay attention. Now everybody pay a fee. Even Trump gotta take a knee. When the horn blow, y'all gon' see. Make the wall fall down like yee.
Welcome to SEC Fan Talk Week 6. It is SEC Episode 6, Week 1. There we go. What a couple of interesting starters for the season. We always know that the SEC is you never know what's going to happen. And, of course, this year, we never know what's going to happen. Of course, I'm Brandon Bird here, as always, with... Today's his name is listed as Daryl Walter at Mr. Brad Rush.
What's nothing unexpected other than the LSU game.
With the memorabilia still behind you on the wall.
Always
it.
We keep it real.
So I think we jumped right into it. It was a interesting week at best. Some of the stuff we saw coming, some of it we didn't. Things like Vanderbilt.
I mean, we called it.
We called it.
We did call it.
Both.
I think it was more wishful thinking for ETSU, but hey, I mean, it worked out in the good, right?
And hey, they looked good. And then of course, Beamer ball at its best with their couple of their special teams plays with two block punts. I think it was 2. Looked good.
Me as well. I'm not gonna lie. I was also shocked how well Alabama played.
Alabama played very well. Mr. Young looked absolutely fantastic. We'll see as he jumps into a little harder conference play. We'll see if it holds up.
I mean, maybe they're just trying to make Alabama's schedule better by ranking Miami. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, weren't they ranked like 5th before it started?
14th.
14th, okay. Yeah, 14th. Hey, well, like you said,
that's the last time Alabama. I mean, that's the last time Miami was ranked. Was about the last time UT was ranked. So let's just
Well, speaking of UT, let's just jump right in. Game 1, Bowling Green coming to Tennessee. We everyone pretty much picked this one for Tennessee to take off with. Tennessee was lackluster. We'll just say that. And if they play how they played against Bowling Green, Pittsburgh is going to eat their lunch.
If we play offense like we did against Pittsburgh, absolutely. I mean, defense, you can't really tell what kind of defense you have against a school like Bowling Green compared to when you get to a better D1 school like Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Milton's got to show up a little better than what he did. But obviously, we kind of knew that going into the season as well. Like, Milton's got an arm, but he can't hit the broadside of a barn kind of thing. Maybe Heupel will get him to figure out how to, hit a spot one time, take a little heat off the fastball, hit the spot. But I don't know.
He does need to, and Garantano even had that problem. Just too fast at it. It hits the receivers too hard, chest, hands, whatever. And
we don't have a Brett Favre on our hand. I mean, Brett Favre. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, hopefully he'll figure it out because we need somebody. But I mean, at least we didn't get beat by Georgia Southern or Georgia State like Garantano did. And now whatever University of whatever.
Yeah, now Utah State.
Yeah, Utah State
beats him. Joe Milton III come in 11 for 23, 1 touchdown, 140 yards. I mean, just didn't look great. Meanwhile, Small and Evans at running back looked fantastic, very strong bodies. They both ran for the same 116 apiece, and both a single touchdown apiece. So I definitely think rushing will help Tennessee as it should.
As long as our line can, open up the holes.
Line's got to hold up, and Milton had more time than he will ever have in his life to throw that ball. He has to get that count down because when conference play starts, he's done.
I mean, that was one of those things that I was like, is our offensive line that good? Or is Bowling Green's defensive line that bad? I'm probably taking the latter in that situation because I'm sitting there thinking, my God, you can read a couple chapters of the daggum Bible watching this guy back here. You know what I mean?
Way too much time, and to have that much time and only come up with just over, it had 140 yards. That's just.
I mean, he's sitting back there. He's like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Here we go. I mean, that's kind of what it looked like.
Oh, and we'll put these, of course, in order as they aired. ULM traveling up to Kentucky, a 10-45 game. ULM striked first really quick, made Kentucky, kind of like, hey, maybe these guys are for real. And then Kentucky hits it with them. Their new quarterback, Will Levy, is it Levy's or Levi's? However,
it's Levi's. Looks like he's owning some blue jeans.
364 yards, 4 touchdowns. Their rushing was 155 yards with another 2 touchdowns. And I'm telling you what, I know it was against ULM, right?
ULM did beat Alabama back in the day. Look it up. They have beaten Nick Saban.
But
put it that way.
The long bombs from Kentucky. He may be a force to be reckoned with for SEC opponents. Because he was throwing them deep.
He's got the deep feel. I mean, that's something it's kind of one of those things. It's like a fastball. I can teach you location. I can't teach you speed. Right. It's kind of like a deep ball, right? I can't teach you the feel. You can have a great arm and throw a bomb, right, but I can't teach you the feel on where to throw it. So I mean, he has that little feel. I feel like
he had the feel, and it looked amazing. Looked really, really good. This one we're not going to go into too much detail. Rice visiting Arkansas, 38-17. Arkansas pulls it out. They'll have a little tougher game next week as Texas comes to Arkansas.
I mean, Texas is ranked this year,
so they better get themselves together. They looked pretty good. Okay.
I'm from East Tennessee, Luke. Get your mind right.
As everyone's wondering, what are they both looking down at their phones for? It was for Luke, who said he's in East Tennessee and has no internet service. Well, if he would get off Cricket or
TikTok,
whatever it is.
He strikes me as a TikTok man.
On to the Chick-fil-A opener was the Alabama at Miami. It was either going to be a blowout or it was going to be much closer than what people thought. Alabama just absolutely took it away. Young looked amazing, 344 yards, 4 touchdowns. They only had 147 rushing yards and a touchdown. If you look at the stats line by line, they were similar to Kentucky's game, right? Just against
a better opponent.
much tougher opponent than ULM. I can't wait to see how Alabama plays out their. Who do they play this week?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just went mind blank.
Hold on, I'm looking.
It's Mercer. It's Mercer. So they're gonna have a 64-3 game against Mercer with their fifth.
Where's Mercer from? Is that Georgia? That's Macon. Is that Mercer? Is that where they're from? Are they from Nashville? I don't know where they're from.
No clue.
What to Google?
No clue.
Google it.
And then Alabama will start, I think, the third week with conference play, so they'll have one more game to get adjusted.
Take it for what it's worth. Robinson only had 12 attempts, but he also got 60 yards in those 12 attempts. That's a 5-yard average. So maybe the rushing game didn't look good, but it looked pretty good for the sample size.
Speaking of sample size, Game 5, all right, with Louisiana Tech at Mississippi
State.
Mississippi State. It was
barn burner.
This one is Mississippi State had the fourth quarter of their life, and Mike Leach was probably looking to be on the hot seat if he would have lost to Louisiana Tech.
Just think about what you said. Their hot seat and Mississippi State combined. How awful does that sound?
The passing yards from Rodgers, 370 on 47 attempts. You know that you're a Mike Leach protege. 47 attempts, 3 touchdowns. Rushing was only 65 yards and 2 touchdowns for their rushers.
12 attempts. That's still a pretty good average for the lead guy, Marks. I'm looking at Louisiana.
We may have someone coming in.
Special guest?
A special guest that we're going to send out to. He said that as we're still on there, and he'll be coming in rooting for his. I'm not even going to say.
Gators?
No. Let's go ahead. We'll move on to Game 6 here. Central Michigan coming into Mizzou. Just a warm-up for Eli Drinkowitz's team. Connor Bazelak comes in, and if you have the stats in front of you on that one.
I can get them real quick. Hold on, box scores here. Google's my friend. Let's see here. Rushing stats. Oh, Bazelak was 21 for 32 with 257 yards, 2 TDs. That's an average of 8 yards per pass attempt. Rushing stats, 203 yards on the ground with 25 attempts from, what's that, Beatty?
Bazelak. Oh, yeah.
I'm from the running back.
Yeah. I'm telling you what.
He was a man.
They're rushing. Georgia's going to be enticing him to enter the transfer portal next year.
Hey, man, do you want to come on down here? We'll sponsor you by the varsity. We'll give you free hot dogs for life down here in Athens. Come on down. Maybe Georgia didn't look. Obviously, Georgia didn't look great.
Oh, we'll get over to that.
Yeah. I don't want to jump the gun. Premature. But at the same time, the quarterback for Central Michigan, Sermon, he had 295 yards on 45 attempts. 1 TD, 2 interceptions. Then they brought in the other guy, Richardson. He was 1 for 1 for a TD, 6 yards. That must be on. Yeah, that was some garbage time stuff, I'm sure. A warm up. Central Michigan probably still has some leftovers from the guy that coaches at Minnesota now that didn't transfer out. With the paddle, they're still on their kayak there, paddling the boat there. What a gimmick.
Oh, speaking of gimmick, look at this one. Game 7, Auburn beating Akron 60-10. Oh, I tell you what, we can't call him bum nicks on this one. He was 20 for 22, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, rushing for another 308 yards and another 5 touchdowns. Auburn looked amazing.
They put Akron.
I know they did. I know that it was just the warm-up game, but they looked good doing it. They were having fun.
Yeah, I'd have fun against Akron too if I played at Auburn. I mean, Akron, Ohio, terrible place to be, kind of thing, you know. But hey, they're like, oh, we're going on vacation. We're going down to Alabama.
It looks like they are on vacation next week. We'll get back to the schedule here shortly.
But I mean, good for Auburn, I guess, right?
Speaking of a horrible place to live and a horrible game, Game 8, E.Illinois putting up a big goose egg at Beamer Ball, South Carolina. I think this what's this?
Go
ahead.
It's one of those things. Who first?
Beamer Ball,
East Illinois, that bad.
They had 2 blocked punts. South Carolina passing with Nolan, 121 yards, 4 touchdowns, another 364 on the ground, and one more touchdown on the ground. They, we'll see how they do next week. I think they go against East Carolina, South Carolina versus East Carolina, so they're going to have another easy game to get prepared for conference play in week 3.
East Carolina's ACC, but also Duke got beat by. Really, really bad. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Cutcliffe, SEC, trying to tie it all together. I'll tell you real quick, it was bad.
Yeah. Game 9. There you are. Now you're back. You've been freezing up a little bit. Game 9 would be one that Luke would like to talk about here with the with the Florida Atlantic and the Owls going to Gainesville.
Probably a little closer than how they want than what they wanted.
It it wasn't that great of a game there. Jones only 113 yards. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, rushing 395 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jones, in an interview after, said that he was happy with how he performed and how his backup performed. When your interceptions are greater than your touchdowns
against FIU or FAU, excuse me.
How are you happy? How are you happy with that?
I mean, it's a win. I guess I'm happy if it's a win.
I'm as a Tennessee fan, I'm happy that we won. It was ugly as that could be, but you don't come out and say that was good.
No, I agree. I'm trying to maybe think of something that's better, makes him feel better about himself. Maybe he was like, maybe I'm going to throw 3 interceptions and only threw 2. I don't know. But I mean, it's a win against a team that's not good. That's a win. Hey, it's a win. Like I said, scorecard don't count. Scorecard don't care how you do it. You just do it.
And we're going to bring in our boy Anthony Mitchell here. Adding Anthony to the stream. Anthony, the last LSU fan alive, is how he is. How are you doing?
Guys, I apologize for the dark camera. I actually had just stepped out. Baby said they needed McDonald's. So I wanted to jump on with you guys. Hopefully you guys have a kind word for me after last night slacking on national TV.
I mean, they held it, and they held it, and they held it, and then they let it go.
Wow. When right before the game, when Orgeron had that little skerfuffle with the fan, and he basically
in his sissy blue, I saw that.
I was like, we're getting ready to bring the SEC to the West Coast, and I guess he forgot about it during the game because he set us up for disaster.
It any time that the people who really hate the SEC because they don't get the recognition that the SEC gets, and their team, we used to be in national championships too, and this, they don't like it, so they play their toughest game.
Sounds like a Tennessee fan to me. And I'm a Tennessee fan.
Oh, we are rolling through. We're on game 10 right now. And before we got a couple games before we get down to the LSU, but in with this game here, game 10, Georgia at Clemson.
Ooh.
No one, I think, would have predicted 0 offensive points for two teams that are always in the playoffs.
I thought I was watching the Big Ten. I thought I was watching the Big Ten. Is that bad of a stinker?
We had a comment in social media saying, "What's it? Why does it? Why are y'all talking about the Wisconsin and Pittsburgh game when y'all's game is just as bad?" Just an amazing pick six there for Georgia to put them in the lead. It was a game of defenses. Georgia's defensive line looked great. I mean, it was sack after sack after sack. And to do that against Clemson, the rest of the East better look out.
I mean, I have absolutely no idea how to say Clemson's quarterback's last name. I have no idea how to say that.
You say O.
Oh, okay. Well, he was 19 for 37 with 178 yards. I mean, that's not good for a Clemson quarterback, but understandably so when they were, at the highest of highs, they're in their rebuilding phase. Clemson's defense is going to be top 5 defense in the nation, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're going to be fine. Georgia, if Georgia can squeak that out with their offense being that bad and their defense being that good, they better watch out. There's going to be a bunch of low-scoring games. I mean, when Tennessee comes to town, they're going to beat the brakes off us and Florida. So, I mean, just give them the East. Go ahead and give them the East. I'm saying that hoping that they kind of screw up. Give it to them. Give it to them.
It's just crazy. Georgia always is like a flash pan where you're thinking they're going to do very good, and then they'll play someone like a Kentucky or even Florida, and you'll wonder what happened. Tennessee always seems to fight the bigger teams pretty well. So I think, Kirby Smart, I think he probably showed every trick he had in that game last night, and I'm just not a believer.
Oh, I agree. That's the best analogy. Like they're a flash pan team. They're going to beat the team like Clemson and then throw up a terrible game against Kentucky and get beat.
And Smart is one or two more bad games from being back on the hot seat, and that's just from Georgia fans. That's what they do. You have the most winningest coach ever with Rick, right? And then they dump him, and so while he gets there every year, he doesn't finish every year where they want him.
That's what she said.
Game 11, we'll just blow right through. I mean, Kent at Texas A&M, big Kyle Field was just on fire.
Did you see the midnight yell the night before?
I mean, they know how to party down at Texas A&M. Good warm-up game for them. Who do they get next week?
I don't know. I can tell you real quick though.
Oh, it's Colorado, so they're.
That's the game we talked about.
Yeah, they're going to go maybe against JT Shrout if he is the transfer from Tennessee, if he gets better. Another game that we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on.
CBS game of the week.
Game 12, ETSU coming into Nashville and beating the brakes off Vanderbilt. Ken Seals was ranked as a quarterback better than Joe Milton III before this week started out. He looked atrocious. Did you see the pick in the end zone? I mean, the ball was, and I don't know if it was just a missed route or he was just under pressure and let it fly.
Let's take some 2 words you took there, under pressure and ETSU. So it can't be that.
Buccaneers came in and really, I'm
a big Bucks guy. I mean, I'm from East Tennessee, got some family that graduated from ETSU. Big Bucks guy.
So their program just came back in 2018. They were gone
since 96.
They were gone for 10 years. Came back in 2018.
95, yeah.
And,
or 98, 98.
And they've been growing ever since. So this is big for them to come in and knock off an SEC team. Although you know how I feel personally about Vandy being in the SEC. We got them for their baseball, got them for their golf.
Academics.
No, it's not academics. We've gone through this.
Well, they did say Vandy is the Harvard of the South. I don't know
Yeah.
how true it is, but it's got to mean something because somebody said it.
Well,
somebody said it.
They are, when it comes to the people that are going there to be a doctor. The people that are there that are attending the Peabody School at Vanderbilt for sports, not so much. We used to have them for basketball, but Vandy, it's time for the SEC to tell them get in or get out. Spend some money on your stadium.
See, I disagree. I mean, they've been around not the longest, but they've been here for the long haul. I think they should reap the rewards. I don't like Vandy being a Tennessee guy, personally, but I think there's a place for them in the SEC. You don't have to be a football school to be in the SEC. Obviously, that's what this podcast is about.
Right.
Their baseball program's good. Their golf program, whoever keeps up with that, I guess it's pretty good.
It's good.
Their women's, stuff's good. I mean, it's good for the optics of the SEC outside of the South.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the football team stinks, and I want them to get better just for the whole. But I don't think you kick them out.
Well, speaking of a football team that stinks, and and they don't stink, but we may have a Gene Chizik number 2 on our hands. Gene Chizik did it with Cam Newton, and now Ed Ogeron may be listed in there with him with Burrow. LSU game 13, LSU 27, UCLA 38. It was back and forth for a while, and LSU was holding their own. Couple good interceptions there. But at the end of the night, fourth quarter, UCLA just took it home. They played as hard as they're going to play, and
right when it was hot time for him,
it was hot time. It was hot time.
He ran. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We'll see if he pops back in here in just a couple minutes.
He gone.
We'll see if he pops back in, and then we'll come back to the LSU game.
Okay,
here in just a minute. We'll roll into game 14, which if you listen to the podcast on this on Wednesday, sorry. Tomorrow night, Louisville at Ole Miss.
Ole Miss wins. Ole Miss wins. Ole Miss wins.
We still all picked Ole Miss, so that's going to be a good game. Of course, they are without head coach because he tested positive for COVID, and he is sitting at home.
I mean, you can coach from the couch now.
In his interview yesterday, he said, "I'm not worried about it."
It's pretty confident.
Say, sit at home with your sore throat, have a hot toddy.
Hot toddy, gosh almighty, who the heck are we?
So, for week 2, as we are up. Anthony may be back. We may get to go in. Yep, there he is.
He's back.
There he's back. Let's add him back in here. Bring back up LSU.
Oh, I still have the box score in front of me right here.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry.
There we go.
Oh, we put the show on pause just so we can talk about LSU when you got back.
I'm back. So where do you guys want to skin this cat? From the head down or from the foot up?
I mean,
whatever you feel best.
So I don't know if you heard the part where he's already been dubbed Gene Chizik number 2.
It's unfortunate that I don't think Gene had the amount of talent.
Correct.
After having Cam Newton, because the analogy is that Gene Chizik had Cam Newton, who kind of saved the program, had a magical season, went about it, and they really didn't redevelop the program. Well, LSU, we had, of course, Joe Burrow, and he's gone. So I do see the analogy, 2.0. However, I don't think that Auburn was finishing in the top 5 in recruiting every year, like we are, as well as having all of the highest paid assistants, whether it's a defensive assistant, passing game coordinator, whatever. We have spent the money to have, basically filled whatever no other program in the SEC outside of Alabama is recruiting, yet we've gotten minimal returns. So I think what we saw last night was conducive of all off season, all training camp, all since we've been recruiting in February. There was a hype train that really made us feel like we were about to compete with the Alabamas and the Clemsons of the world. However, what we saw last night was several things. Key thing to me, I think I noticed more than anything, was an inability to make key adjustments in the game. And this is no disrespect to Chip Kelly. I'm also a 49er fan. So for Chip, who I think is the worst coach we've had in history, to come and beat my LSU team in California, that's like, the Roosters came home. But I noticed he blitzed all games, 7, 8 guys.
Yeah.
And we only blocked him with five front offensive linemen. So that simple math, if you've got 8 guys and only 5 guys blocking, how does that work?
49 rushing yards from LSU.
And that was the difference. Back when we had Joe Burrow, if you sent 8 guys, we had a Clyde Edwards that could get in the flat. We had a Thaddeus Moss that could work the shallow routes. And if your running game is not working, Chip Kelly basically dared us to beat him with the throw.
Yep. And,
we have a Jake Peets as an offensive coordinator. He's quite inexperienced, and it showed last night because any skilled guy like Steve Ensminger, if he had been there, he would have made the necessary adjustments. But we had one game plan. We stuck to it. When it didn't work, we could make adjustments on both sides of the ball. At the beginning of the game defensively, I thought the defensive line set a really good tone.
Yes.
However, we started noticing our linebackers were really out of position a lot. Our defensive backs can cover, but they can't hit. And I noticed there were a lot of crossing routes that the tight end was running across the middle, and he was open for 70 yards. And there's just no way in the world, with communication being as it is and the athletes we have, that should have ever happened, not more than one time. So I think that was a gut punch. After the half, I noticed there was a caption on the bottom of the screen. And to me, if you're ever wanting to fire a coach or you're wanting to get him first, you have to start dropping kind of like tiger bait, as I call it, which is propaganda. And I noticed there was a stat that said after halftime, Coach Orgeron is 2-11 when trailing to the half. And if you're thinking like I'm thinking as a fan, and you're 5-5 in the last 10 games, and now 5-6 in the last 11, and now I'm hearing the boosters are unhappy. They were embarrassed last night.
Yes.
That reminds me of the game we played Les Miles last game against Texas A&M, and they were going to fire him at halftime on the field. That's what that looked like last night. Coach O can't have 3 games like that and then lose against Mississippi State, and of course going in against Ole Miss and Alabama. We can't do what we did last night because UCLA is not on our talent, level of what we're used to seeing in the SEC.
No, I mean, if you look at just
49 rushing yards last night.
Yeah, look at the stats alone from UCLA: 260 yards of passing, and just about that, not quite equal that. 296, 230 something on the ground. I mean, so they didn't blow it out of the water. They just too many defensive mistakes.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And also to that point, Brandon, if you go back and you look at the box score, we when it comes to penalties, I think we had 1 penalty, and they had about 5 or 6. When you're looking at time of possession.
Before fourth quarter, it was 1 penalty for 5 yards. They ended up grabbing another penalty in the fourth quarter. But if you look at UCLA penalties, when the fourth quarter started, they had like 59, 65 yards in penalties. It was insane.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had time of possession. We had far greater time of possession. We had more third down opportunities. They had more penalties and all across the board. So just reading the stat line as is, you would have thought LSU dominated all across the board. But when it mattered the most, we could not capitalize. And again, I go back to our inexperience. I know a lot is said about UCLA. I think they returned 12 seniors. However, when you have a room full of 5-star receivers and defensive backs and defensive linemen, guys that are prepared to play on Sunday, and a lot of those were Saturday guys, it's not supposed to match up.
No, the talent was better for LSU for sure.
Correct. I posed the question to a sports reporter this morning. I said, honestly, did you see any room of improvement from this year to last? Last year, we made a scapegoat in Bo Pelini. I think defensively, we looked a little better for a half. But overall, I mean, the product was still the same on both sides of the ball. And Minger, he retired. I think he was kind of forced out based on, hanging in the shadow of Joe Brady. But again, guys, when you have the amount of money that LSU has and you have basically bought an A1 program, and then you're looking across the board at Alabama, what they did last night, if you don't think we're being judged based on Alabama's success while we're falling apart, I can't accept that.
And they are being judged on that. I mean,
Yes.
they are looking at them like you are supposed to be as good as Alabama.
Absolutely.
With that, we jump into week 2 schedule and get a little picks in here. We're at 36 minutes, which is about where we like to keep this show. So we're going to run a little over this week, which is okay. We are going to just start and go down the list here. Missouri at Kentucky is the only conference game of week 2. And I think it's actually going to be a really good game. You have Missouri, who just hammered it on the ground this past week and looked fantastic, while on the opposite side, Kentucky and their new quarterback was airing it out with just perfection. The throws were amazing. We'll see how they do against a much better defense instead of ULM. For me on this one, I'm going Kentucky.
What's the score? You just can't say you're going Kentucky.
I'm going Kentucky 24-21.
I'm going Kentucky too. 28-17.
I guess I'll be the oddball and pick Missouri. 28-24.
All right. Next game, Mercer at Alabama. This one is just a.
Did you see the amount of money that Tennessee was playing Bowling Green last week? Like $1.5 million. That's what Mercer's getting this week.
Yes, they paid them 1.5. I mean, Alabama, I'm saying 62-3.
Yeah.
I was going to say 55-0.
I'm just going to say Mercer gets a participation trophy.
Another hard game for what will be potentially even next year if Texas is willing to pay the $75 million to get out of their contract.
They will.
They can come to the SEC next year, which I think will benefit them to go ahead and do it. They'll end up getting
Matthew McConaughey's going to pay that bill.
They're going to end up getting $40 million, maybe a little less than from the SEC rights, but I think they go ahead and do it. In any case, so this would be next year a conference game, but Texas and Arkansas. Texas coming to town. I think Texas pulls this one out.
I think it's going to be an easy win for Texas. Just let me. You go ahead, but that's what I'm saying.
What you got?
I mean, I think it's going to be like 28-14. Texas easy. That's a garbage time touchdown for Arkansas. It's going to be like 28-14, easy win.
I pretty much doubled you on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll err on the side of caution, and I'll go with you guys on this one.
All right, and that brings us to our next one, Alabama State.
Never heard of them.
Alabama State at Auburn. So, considering Auburn just hung 60 up on Akron, I say they do the same. I think it's a repeat. I think it's 60-10.
You know what? Auburn's not used to scoring a lot of points, so I'm going to keep them at 46.
See, I agree with Anthony, too, because I think they're going to have a little more sympathy with them being in-state and not being from Ohio.
Yep.
It could be – I agree. 46. I can see 46-0.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. Another Florida, so they beat out Florida Atlantic or whatever last week. The Owls now South Florida. The Gators travel to South Florida, and I think they pull away with another win. And probably
is that USF, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And probably a little better than how they performed this past weekend. Once I think with Emory Jones saying that he was okay with himself, I think the coaches just flat get in his backside and say, if you're happy with that, you're going to sit the bench and Richardson's going to start unless you show us something at South Florida. I do think Florida pulls it away. 38-7.
I'll give them 10, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I think USF's going to have better talent than FIU or FAU or whatever, right? I mean, I was thinking 35 as well, but I'm thinking it's going to be 35-21. I mean, I think that South Florida's going to have a better quality athlete on their team than Florida Atlantic.
Yeah. What about UAB at Georgia? If this was UAB at Tennessee, especially last year, I'd be worried. But UAB at Georgia, I think all the frustrations of the offense not getting to put in to the end zone at all this past week, I think they lay it all out, and Georgia wins big. Well, I'll let y'all go ahead and start.
42-0 Georgia.
Ooh, I think this is going to be another 30-point game. I don't, you know what? I just don't believe in Kirby Smart's offense. I think UAB will give them about 14-38.
You think so?
Yeah, I think UAB is going to hang about 14. Just, I don't know. Georgia looked really good on defense last week, but I don't think I've ever seen them string just two stellar defensive performances back to back. I think they got it up for Clemson, but I do think that they again, sometimes some of these teams will play down to their level of competition. So I will give them 14 points.
I agree with the 38, and I only give UAB 7 just because it'll be fourth quarter and it'll be against second and third string.
I don't think they can score on Georgia's second string.
LSU gets to redeem themselves this week with McNeese traveling down to the Bayou, and talk about another game where frustration being released and them having to pay McNeese probably $1.5 million to get absolutely stomped. I really hope for Ed Ogeron and company that's what happened. McNeese is going to be after knowing that LSU is down. Hey, and another thing is the players, are they just not? Of course, they need to play to their best ability because it's their future. But are they not giving it everything they have because they have no chance of being in the postseason because of the NCAA investigation?
You have to wonder. You have to wonder because, again, and then you're coupling that with these new, the NIH rules that are allowing some of these guys to be paid.
Right.
If you're just looking at the ticker tape on that, some guys have already won, if you know what I'm saying. So
they have.
At 18, 19, 20, if you're telling the guy, hey, you can $800,000 even though you're not going to be in the playoffs, I mean, what's the real trade-off here?
Yeah. Who do you have, Anthony, for well, I know you have LSU, but what do you
so have? Just on paper, it should be 42-14, but I think it's going to be closer. I think it's going to be about 24-14.
Ooh.
I mean, I'll have to go with Anthony here because I've never heard of McNeese. I've never heard of him, but I do feel your pain.
Your high school gym teacher?
No, that was Coach. That was Coach Brenninger. He was the baseball coach, and he was a bit of a doucher. But I mean, he was my baseball coach. But I feel Anthony's pain. My significant other is actually from Ball, Louisiana, so she is a humongous LSU fan. So I have to deal with that on a daily basis. I feel his pain through her. But I'll take his advice. But I'll just go 7 more points. I was going to say 28-14 LSU. I mean, sounds good. I don't know. Sounds good.
Fair enough. Well, something else to consider that actually Coach Orgeron's son is on that McNeese team. So I wonder what kind of statement he's willing to make with his son on the other side of the ball.
I mean, what kind of statement does that show that his son's not good enough to even make the squad at LSU? That's
Fair
what I'm
enough.
saying.
Fair enough.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
if it goes to-
Jancic wasn't any good, but he was on the roster at Tennessee.
I mean, he made the squad.
I'm going to go LSU 35-10.
Okay.
I think it could happen.
It could happen.
A potential upset this week is our next game. NC State at Mississippi State. It very well could happen.
I mean, Mississippi State could upset NC State? Yeah, I agree.
Just quote me. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but is North Carolina State coached by Matt Brown?
No, that's North Carolina. That's
North Carolina. Okay.
Tar Heels.
I'm saying NC State pulls this away.
You're taking my fire, dude. I was going to pick NC State too.
17-14.
No, It's going to be higher scored than that. It's going to be like 35-28.
Oh,
NC State.
What'd you say?
I'm gonna go 28-21, and I'm gonna say that Coach Leach is gonna run exactly 6 plays all game.
Slant. 6 slants.
Exactly.
So are you going NC or you're Mississippi State?
I have to go State. I just have to, just because I live next door.
The next one. Well, now we don't know at this time. Of course, once again, if you're listening to the podcast, sorry, because we have on Sunday night here we have no data on Ole Miss other than we think that they are going to beat Louisville. They will definitely beat Austin Peay.
I don't know. Austin Peay had a big win against UTC this week.
Yeah. So Ole Miss. What we think 42-10.
Sure.
Ooh. Sure. I don't know. Sure.
Coach Kiffin is out with COVID, so
he is, and he said, "I'm not worried about it."
Yeah, I'm going to give him 28-7.
You think it's going to be that low scoring for Ole Miss?
Just because Kiffin is not going to be there.
Yeah, with today's technology, he can coach from the couch.
Okay, fair enough.
Another boring one. South Carolina Beamer Ball at East Carolina. I think South Carolina pulls it out. I don't know about a 48 to whatever he was this past week. It was 0, I think it was 48-0.
It was
against Eastern Illinois. I think East Carolina scores.
I think they win.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I do. 21-17 ECU.
Okay.
I'm going same score, but flip the other side. South Carolina 21.
That's what I was fixing to say as well. I think we're all. Oh, and another potential upset. Of course, we had North Carolina State as an upset against Mississippi State. Pittsburgh could most definitely come in and beat up Tennessee. Tennessee was only favored to win this one, 47% before last week's game. The spread has changed to 2.5 on this one. I'm still thinking that Tennessee adjusts to what they did wrong last week, and
they run the ball. That's what they'll do. They'll run the ball.
They will run it, and I think that it's 28-24 Tennessee.
You can go ahead.
I'm going Pittsburgh for the upset. I'm going to say it's going to be 28-17.
I mean, can it really be called an upset if they were, if Tennessee only had a 47% chance of winning?
No, well, we're right there at that 50 now with a 2.5 point spread. We're at.
So it's a toss up, right? So
it's a toss up, but you have to look at SEC overall versus
correct other conferences. To me, anytime another conference can beat an SEC team, right, I always consider it an upset, even if it's Clemson beating Arkansas. To me, it's an upset.
I mean, I am a UT guy, I want UT to win. I think we lose 23-21. I think they beat us at a last-second field goal. Pittsburgh.
All right. A&M versus Colorado. A&M is definitely, we don't even have to talk about this one. A&M is going to blow their doors off. They've got backup quarterback as of right now. And the quarterback that was their primary was not that great anyway. So
he's from Tennessee, so
JT Strout being hurt and had their backup in. So Texas A&M comes in. I think they potentially hang up another 48-17 game.
I'll second that.
Colorado's going to play a little better being at home. They're going to be juiced up for the first half, so I think they actually do a little better than what we think. Obviously, I think A&M pulls it off. I don't think it's going to be a complete blowout.
Nope.
Did you hear me?
No. Say that one more time.
42-21 A&M, but I think it's going to be close at halftime, and A&M pulls it out in the second half. I think with it being a home game for Colorado, it's going to be, they're going to play a little tougher.
And last but certainly last is Vanderbilt at Colorado State. I do think that Colorado State wins this game. Vanderbilt continues their losing streak from last year where they did not win a single game. And, it's probably not horrible, 28-14.
I'm going to call this game the battle of the field goal kickers. Whichever field goal kicker has a stronger leg is who's going to win this game. It might be like a 14-7 game. I won't say who's going to win because I have no clue in this one who's got the better field goal kicker. But I guess I'll pull for the SEC. I'll say Vandy 14, Colorado State 7.
If we're talking field goal scholarship, so they have to have the better one.
Okay.
Who's your pick? Yep, froze up. That's what you get for running that MacBook.
Hey, shut up.
From 2012.
Vanderbilt win all year. Do they win a game all year? No, Colorado State wins 21-3 Colorado State.
21-3. Well, that does it for week 2's picks. Show went just about double the length, but I'm glad we had special guests in here. Anthony, thank you so much for joining in with us, and we hope to have you back whenever you want. We generally the preseason games or preseason shows for us kind of they're repetitive talking this team, that team, stuff that everyone already knows. But boy, when the season gets started and we get to dig in and talk some stats and talk some smack, it gets fun. It gets fun to do.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you guys for the opportunity. I will be back.
We need
Go ahead.
Fans on here.
I'll tell you what, if LSU loses again next week, I might come hunting you down, Brandon. You guys might not want me on the show because I might have to hang up my faithful title because last night I didn't even finish to the end of the game. I got into the fourth quarter and there was about 10 minutes left, and I stood on the edge of the bed and said, "This is it. This is it." Thank you for the opportunity, guys. I enjoyed it.
That fourth quarter was nasty. Listeners, we want to thank you. If you're on the podcast coming up this Wednesday, thank you so much for listening in. Be sure to go to your favorite social media outlet, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. We are the same anywhere you look at SEC Fan Talk. Until next week, go SEC.
It just means more.